What is the response of London banks to this, Jennifer? What is the response of New York banks and indeed other state-owned enterprises in China?
Yeah, I mean, I think the entire industry really takes not just this incident, but every cyber incident pretty seriously. They've been investing billions in this space, and I think every bank CEO, if you get them, off to the side at a conference and ask them what keeps you up at night, almost every single one of them will say cyber, because it's something that they can spend billions on and still, fall susceptible to. So I think the entire industry is obviously watching very carefully how ICBC handles this, how it could impact markets, but really, the lesson here is this is a persistent and really scary risk for these banks.
Can I assume that the decision-making on this for this beleaguered large bank will be done in China, that all movements will be back to Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong?
So they've made clear in statements that they've put out that this is only affecting this one U.S. unit and that it hasn't yet affected other divisions, but they are apparently reaching out back to their home office to make sure that this doesn't spread from here and really trying to make sure that the effects are limited and contained to where it's already hit.
Do we understand the mechanics of what actually gets getting interrupted here? That basically, my understanding is counterparties closed off their connections with the U.S. unit of ICBC in order not to get infected with the virus, which raises this question of how ICBC delivers and closes some of the transactions that it's gotten orders on. Is that kind of what is going on here?
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. And I think, it's interesting because that is generally the response we see from banks is as soon as they've identified a risk in the system, they try to close themselves off from that. And so that was why you saw a lot of folks yesterday during the Treasury auction kind of citing this incident as why it might have been so sloppy, as you guys said earlier.
Although it wouldn't affect the number of people, particularly those from China, that would be coming in to look to buy those treasuries, right? Ostensibly, those transactions would still at some point come to the fore, even if it's on a USB stick, going to another bank. Do we have a sense of whether this actually has prevented Chinese buyers from coming in and transacting in US Treasuries?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of market participants that pretty quickly hit back on the idea that this was the sole reason behind yesterday's, auction activity. And so I think we're still trying to get a sense of just, how exactly those trades will ultimately be handled. Does this actually end up, really fundamentally changing the way those trades are handled going forward? So I think we're still kind of in the information gathering stage on that one.